Indian warship INS Visakhapatnam came to the rescue of a merchant vessel in the Gulf of Aden, which was hit by a ballistic missile fired by Houthi rebels of Yemen on Friday night. MV Marlin with the Marshall Island flag has 22 Indian and 1 Bangladeshi crew member on board. On January 5, Indian destroyer INS Chennai and its marine commandos had thwarted a hijack attack on a Liberia-flagged merchant vessel. The army has got its first woman Subedar, Asian Games shooting silver medalist Preeti Rajak. Daughter of a dry cleaner from Itarasi in MP, Rajak was the first meritorious sportswoman in the shooting discipline to be enrolled in the army as Havildar. Based on her extraordinary performance, she was awarded the first out-of-turn promotion to Subedar, army said. Rajak, along with Rajeshwari Kumari and Manisha Keer, won silver in the team trap shooting last October. The tricolor was unfurled this Republic Day for the first time in 9 Chhattisgarh tribal villages of Bastar region so far in the grip of Maoist terror, while a similar feat was accomplished in a remote trapped hamlet in Maharashtra rebelled and Gadhicharoli. In Chhattisgarh's Bastar, it was the first Republic Day celebration in these villages since independence, IGP Sundaraj said. The fight against left-wing extremism has reached its final and decisive phase. We are hopeful to establishing a positive and vibrant identity in the region, Sundaraj said. Residents of other remote villages in Bastar joined hands with the authorities, police and central forces to celebrate the 75th Republic Day, said officers. Adding, the ripple effect will boost the morale of people in many more Maoist hit pockets. In Maharashtra's Gadchiroli, the flag hoisting took place in Irapner, deep inside the Maoist liberated zone, 5 km off the guerrilla headquarters of Abujmarg, where till now black flags were hoisted and the national flag deserted or burnt. 2 days after the ASI report confirming the existence of a temple at the Gyanvapi site in Varanasi came in the public domain, Vishwa Hindu Parishad on Saturday cited the Places of Worship Act to demand that a mosque be shifted to an appropriate place and the Hindu community allowed to worship here. We call upon the Intijamiya committee to agree to respectfully shift Gyanvapi Mosque to another appropriate place and hand over the original site of Kasi Vishwanath to the Hindu society, said Vishwa Hindu Parishad President Alok Kumar in a statement. The demand made by a saffron organization is seen as major shift from its previous stand of not being aggressive about demanding possession of the Gyanvapi campus. Legal representatives of the Hindu side are gearing up to pursue Supreme Court to order another ASI survey of the Gyanvapi Mosque, focusing solely on the Wuzu Khana and the ground beneath the central dome. Its purpose is excavating a trench to explore underground areas beneath the dome, arguing that ASI's radars failed to yield tangible results during last year's survey. The Wuzu Khana remained sealed since May 16, 2022 following claims of the discovery of the Shivling within it during a survey. Bihar looks set to get a new government even as Chief Minister Nitish Kumar retains the top job by replacing RJD with BJP as his partner. Political circles here were abuzz with speculation of Nitish being sworn in as Chief Minister for the record ninth time, but constitutional experts pointed out that he is not required to go through the motion of resigning and resuming, and can forge a fresh coalition by sacking RJD ministers and replacing them with those from BJP, which is on board. Hindustani Awam Morcha for former CM Jiten Ram Manjhi with 4 MLAs pledged its support to NDA. This will ensure the about to be stitched ruling combine has a majority of 243 strong assembly can accomplish the immediate objective of bringing in a speaker, most probably from BJP, to replace RJD's Awadh Bihari Chaudhary. Nitish will meet his party MLA Sunday morning, followed by a joint meeting of NDA legislator and MPs, most probably at the residence, before either submitting his resignation or dismissing the RJD's minister and submitting a fresh letter to support from BJP and HAMs to the governor. The governor might invite him to take oath in the evening itself. Let us see how things unfold in the morning, a source close to the developments said. BJP may have 2 deputy CMs, one of them a woman. Unlike the last time, there is a possibility of the second slot going to someone from the upper caste, sources said. BJP MLAs and MPs went into a huddle on Saturday and are to meet again on Sunday. morning before gathering at the CM's residence, bringing the curtains down on the Grand Alliance government in Bihar, sources said. Havildar Preeti Rajak, who won silver medal in women's team trap shooting event at Asian Games, has been promoted to become the first woman Subedar in the 12 lakh strong army. Subedar Rajak, who joined the Corps of Military Police in December 22 based on her proven performance in trap shooting, had teamed up with Rajeshwari Kumari and Manisha Keer to win the silver medal at the Asian Games in China last October. Daughter of a dry cleaner from Itarasi in Madhya Pradesh, Subedar Rajak was the first meritorious sportswoman in the shooting discipline to be enrolled in the army as Havaldar. Based on her extraordinary performance, she was awarded the first out-of-turn promotion to Subedar, the army said in a statement on Saturday. Subedar Rajak is currently ranked 6th in India and is training at the Army Marksmanship Unit in preparation of the Paris Olympic Games. Her great achievement will motivate generations of young women to come forward to join the army as well as carve a niche for themselves in professional shooting, he added. Padma Shri and Arjun Award winner Subedar Major and Honorary Lieutenant Jita Rai was also promoted to the rank of Subedar Major and Honorary Captain for his meritorious service during the ceremony at Maho. In a fresh set of allegations, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal claimed on Saturday that BJP was trying to topple his government and has offered Rs 25 crore each to 7 legislators to leave the Aam Aadmi Party. In a social media post on X, the AAP national convener alleged that they claimed to be in touch with 21 MLAs, but his party had knowledge of 7 who were approached with the offer of money and ticket to contest the next election, but all of them refused, Kejriwal declared. The Delhi CM claimed that those who contacted the MLAs said Kejriwal would be arrested in a few days and then they would break the AAP legislative party. This means that I am not being arrested for investigation into any liquor scam, only because of a conspiracy of topple the AAP government in Delhi. In the last 9 years, they have attempted to bring down our government several times but have not succeeded, Kejriwal posted on Twitter. The post added, God and the people have always supported us. All our MLAs are also firmly with us. This time also, those people will fail in nefarious intentions. The CM said his government has done a lot of work in the capital and defeating AAP in elections was impossible for them. They know how much work our government has done for the people of Delhi. Despite all the challenges created by them, we have accomplished so much. The people of Delhi love AAP. That's why they want to topple the government through the arrest on the pretext of a fake liquor scam, he alleged in his social media post. Hours later, Education Minister Atishi held a press conference and alleged that BJP has launched Operation Lotus 2.0 in Delhi. Atishi claimed that the recordings of one caller who contacted an AAP MLA was available and it would be brought into public domain at the right time. They made a similar attempt to poach AAP MLAs twice by offering them money but failed, Atishi claimed. She alleged that BJP tried its best to break the 28-strong AAP legislature party in 2013 and in 22 it had offered Rs 20 crore each to the legislators. BJP's Operation Lotus failed every time because AAP MLAs were not scared of the threats and never fell off their offer. BJP undertook Operation Lotus in states where it failed to form government. Such operations were conducted in the past in states like Maharashtra, MP, Arunachal Pradesh and Goa, where they brought down the elected government, she maintained. The minister also alleged that BJP intended to arrest Kejriwal on the folk The minister also alleged that BJP intended to arrest Kejriwal on the fake charges of a liquor scam by using the Enforcement Directorate. She said the party would later intimidate AAP legislators. AAP's chief spokesperson Priyanka Kakkar and Delhi MLAs Delhi MLA Durgesh Pathak and Dilip Pandey also held separate press conferences on Saturday, making similar allegations. Any attempt by BJP to dislodge the AAP government will undoubtedly result in severe repercussions in the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. Kakkar question. The city saw a further dip in the minimum temperature to 4 degrees Celsius on Saturday. However, clear skies and sunshine brought some respite from the icy cold days. Delhi also recorded the highest maximum temperature of the month on Saturday. The maximum temperature was 24 degrees Celsius, 2 notches above normal, while Friday recorded 20 degrees Celsius, the second highest maximum temperature of the season. Meanwhile, the air quality improved from severe to very poor due to the winds. Visibility improved as well. The AQI at 11 pm was 396 and further improved to 357 by 4 pm. The average air quality index on a scale of 0 to 500 was 337 against 409 a day earlier. The weather department expects the respite from cold day conditions to continue for the next few days. At 4 degrees Celsius, Lodi Road saw the lowest minimum temperature on Sunday. The minimum temperature a day earlier was 4.7 degrees Celsius. The wind speed was high, so the fog was shallow. The minimum temperature will be around 5 degrees over the next few days, and the visibility will improve, said a regional weather forecasting center, India Meteorological Department. He added that the temperature may drop by the end of the month. A western disturbance is likely to impact the city around January 31. There are chances of light rain, so the temperature may fall slightly on January 31 to Feb 1, said the official. According to the weather department, the maximum and minimum temperatures may hover around 24 and 5 degrees Celsius respectively on Sunday, with the possibility of moderate to shallow fog in the morning hours. According to the air quality early warning system, the air quality is likely to be very poor on Sunday. The air quality is likely to be in very poor category from Sunday to Tuesday. In the next 6 days, the air quality is likely to remain in the very poor to poor categories, said the IITM's air quality early warning system. In an attempt to make multi-level parking at Jangpura and New Friends Colony fully operational, Municipal Corporation of Delhi plans to place a proposal before the House meetings on Monday for sanctioning additional funds of Rs 20 crore for finishing pending maintenance work. The proposal emphasizes upon grant of revised expenditure sanction of Rs 107 crore rupee against the original contractual amount of Rs 104 crore. The proposal was also seeks administrative approval for another Rs 20 crore for completing the pending work, taking the final cost of the project Rs this. The parking project conceived in 2008 were allocated to a contractor in 2010 under the scheme Development of Multi-Level Parking at Kalkaji, NFC and Jangpura to decongest the adjoining areas. In 2010, the project for constructing 3 parking lots was allocated to the concessionaire for the contractual amount of Rs 104 crore with a time of completion of 15 months, stated the proposal. Kalkaji parking is fully operational with 406 cars being parked on its 3 levels. NFC parking's 2 floors are being used for 402 cars. In the third basement, there is a problem of water sewage, of which efforts have been made to plug the same as per the expert advice from CBRI Roorkee. Pumping is being done to pump out the seepage water from the basement level 3, stated the civic body. After a dispute between the contractor and MCD, the work paused at Jangpura. No parking happens at the 3-story underground project with a holding capacity of 308 vehicles, as many works are pending. The matter was also taken up legally. From the beginning, the project was marred by several delays, especially between 16 and 18, mainly due to disputes between the erstwhile South Corporation and the contractor over payments, said officials. The delay had brought severe criticism from the affected residents of Jangpura, as the project was supposed to be completed by 2014. The center has decided to rope in the School of Planning and Architecture to prepare a detailed plan for conservation of the iconic North and South blocks, which will be converted into museums, a top official said. This comes amid government's plan to shift offices from North Block to a new common central secretariat building coming up along Rajpath in June-July. PM Narendra Modi had announced the plan to set up Yuge Yugen Bharat National Museum in the heritage buildings. Sources said since conservation of the massive building will be a Herculean task, the Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry will take up the work in phases. They added preparations of the plan for North Block may take around a year since the buildings are very old. Officials said massive conservation work is needed to be carried out on some portions of the building. They added that the first of the three CCS buildings coming up on the plot where IGNCA was located in expected to be ready by June-July, and second building is likely to be ready by September. The construction of the elevated portion of Delhi-Dehradun highway was started in full earnest. The 6.4 km corridor which falls in Delhi is a portion of the new road that promises to reduce travel time between the two capitals to just 2.5 hours. Along the Pushta Road flyover near Akshardham Mandir, steel slabs were being laid between the pillars. The U-turn underneath the flyover, which provides motorist route to the Delhi-Meerut Expressway, is being widened to facilitate entrance points of the highway. We are trying to complete the construction of the highway before the stipulated deadline of December this year. By May, we hope the elevated corridor is ready. There has been some delay due to off and on construction bans, said an official of the National Highway Authority of India. In the run-up of the G20 summit last September, NHAI had the road near Akshardham recarpeted. But a short distance away, soon after the Gita Colony Cerematorium, the road turns decrepit. On the 6-lane Pushta Road starting near the temple, NHAI is constructing the elevated stretch with the temporarily affected traffic on the side lanes. At the Gita Colony pedestrian bridge, the ramp construction is underway and the soil laying work has commenced, after which the bituminous layer will be laid. The ramp will merge with the Pushta Road further beyond the Akshardham temple. Descript. Aquatics, lawn tennis, wrestling, judo, football, hockey and golf. The Dwarka sub-city will soon have a host of facilities for these sports and few others in the next few months. Reviewing the upcoming sports complexes in Dwarka earlier this week, Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena asked Delhi Development Authority to complete the civil construction work at the earliest and start the operations. The LG also directed DDA to explore the possibility of roping in private players to operate and maintain the existing sports infrastructure to ensure the members get the best possible facilities. In the next 3 months, Dwarka will give a golf course ready in Sector 24 and centers of excellence for wrestling, judo, karate and kabaddi in Sector 8, for lawn tennis in Sector 19, for football and hockey in Sector 23 and for aquatics in Sector 33. A Raj Niwas official said most sports complexes are near completion and the LG directed DDA to open them at the earliest. The LG has given fresh deadlines to the DDA to complete the work, the officials said. The deadline to complete the construction of the sports complexes in Sector 8 and Sector 23 was April 30. But the LG has directed DDA to make them ready by February 29 and March 31 respectively, the officials added. Similarly, the golf course in Sector 24, which is spread over 158-acre area, was to be completed by June 30 by the LG, but the LG has directed the officials to complete it by March. While the construction of the clubhouse, resulting huts and swimming pool can be completed by April 30. DDA recently auctioned the high-end and ready-to-move-in flats and penthouses facing the golf course to people, while people will soon start moving in those apartments. The LG questioned why the golf course cannot be completed by then, said another official. Each sports complex will have the infrastructure for number of indoor and outdoor or sports apart from other amenities such as jogging tracks, restrooms and parking facilities. With India's taking claim for organizing various international sports competitions, the LG remarked that these complexes' international standards can easily be used for training and practice purposes by both Indian and foreign squads. Officials said the LG has also asked DDA to submit a report within 10 days if the existing sport complexes can be handed over to private players having the expertise in running such facilities for better operations and maintenance of infrastructure. The LG has made it clear that the private players should be able to improve the amenities, maintain the equipment and train people without putting much burden on users, said an official to the discussion. Addressing the 84th All India Presiding Officers Conference taking place in Mumbai via video message on Saturday, PM Narendra Modi said that some parties support objectionable behavior of their members instead of counseling them, and we now witness public glorification of convicted corrupt individuals, which is detrimental of the integrity of the executive, judiciary and the constitution. The PM said that the conduct of members in the House and the environment directly impact productivity of the assembly. He also said that simplification of the judicial system has eased challenges faced by the common man and enhanced the ease of living. LS Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla inaugurated the AIPOC, where presiding officers of all states and UTs were present, which was hosted by Maharashtra legislature after 21 years. Birla expressed concern over incidents of indiscipline, disruption of proceedings and unparliamentary conduct affecting their credibility. Birla noted that there is enough space to give voice of dissent in democratic system, hence planned disruptions should not be used as a tool of protest. PM Modi called upon the presiding officers to pay attention to unnecessary laws and their impact on citizens' lives, stressing on their removal would have a significant positive impact. Over the past decade, the centre has repealed over 200 laws that were detrimental to our system. The simplification of the judicial system has eased the challenges faced by the common man and enhanced the ease of living, he stated. An Indian warship once again came to an aid of a merchant vessel in Gulf of Aden, which was hit by a ballistic missile fired by Houthi rebels of Yemen on Friday night. The MBCD Nuclear, Biological and Chemical Damage Control Team with firefighting equipment from guided missile destroyer INS Vishakhapatnam boarded Marshall Island flagged Marlin Luanda to help the 22 Indian and the 1 Bangladeshi crew member on the board the tanker on Saturday. INS Vishakhapatnam, deployed in Gulf of Aden, rendered assistance after the merchant vessel in distress requested it. No injuries have been reported. Indian Navy remains steadfast and committed towards safeguarding merchant vessels and ensuring safety of life at sea, an officer said. US Central Command said the Iran-backed Houthi terrorist has fired one anti-ship ballistic missile from Houthi-controlled area of Yemen and struck MV Marlin Luanda at 7 pm. US warship USS Carney and other coalition ships also responded to the distress call by MV Marlin Luanda, which was 60 nautical miles southeast of Aden in Yemen, and provided material support. Crucial maritime trade between Europe and Asia is facing major disruptions due to escalating attacks by Houthi rebels and Somalia pirates on merchant ships transiting through Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and Arabian Sea in the last few months. Claiming an evolution in India's position on Canadian probe into killing of Khalistan separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, NSA's Jodie Thomas said India is now cooperating with the investigations, and her discussions with her counterpart Ajit Doval on the issue had proved fruitful, allowing things to move forward. However, while she spoke about importance of bringing the guilty to justice, Thomas also underscored the significance of the ties between the two countries, saying Canada's ability to work in Indo-Pacific depends on having a healthy relationship with India. India has so far officially maintained that Canada never shared any evidence or information to back its claim that Indian agents were linked to the murder. While India launched a probe, information shared by US about similar involvement of Indian official in a plot of assassinate another Khalistan separatist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. It has not far announced any probe in the Canadian case. Speaking on the day of her retirement, Thomas said the US indictment of Indian national in the Pannu plot and the information released aided Canada's position on the Niger issue. It would not describe them as not cooperating. We have made advancement in that relationship and they understand what we believe happened. The RCMP investigation is underway and we will hopefully be able to prosecute those responsible and accountable, said Thomas, who made several trips to India last year to discuss the Niger case. In her interview to CTV, Thomas said, India, particularly the NSA, is working with Canada to resolve the issue. My discussions with my counterpart in India have been fruitful and I think they have moved things forward, she said, while calling Indian cooperation an evolution because India had been dismissive of allegations initially. When asked if the evolution was spurred on the US Pannu case, she said the two were connected for sure. The US judicial system is different from us. They have sealed indictments the way we don't. They were investigating a conspiracy and we are investigating a murder. The information they revealed supported our position and our assertions with India, said Thomas. The official, however, underlined the significance of bilateral ties with India and the need of the two countries to work together in the Indo-Pacific. We think it's important that we resolve that what happened to the Canadian citizen, but we have to have people-to-people ties. We have to use this diaspora. We have to have a trade relationship. Our ability to function in the Indo-Pacific does rely on having a healthy relationship with India and we are working back towards it, Thomas added. Manipur appears to be headed for a political showdown amid ethnic tensions as indigenous tribal leaders forum declared on Saturday following a public consultations that 10 Kukizo MLAs, 7 of whom belong to BJP, should challenge N. Biren Singh's government. The forum also stressed the importance of engaging neighboring Mizoram government for future political direction of the Kukizo community in Manipur. ITLF said Kuki militant groups currently engaged in peace talks under a suspension of operations agreement with center should not sign for the integrity of Manipur and stand by the demand for a union territory with the legislature. The consultation in Churachandpur district was convened days after radical group calling the 10 Kukizo legislators to align with the people's aspirations. ITLF urged them to oppose the government led by N. Biren Singh in support of their community and resign if the need arises. The convention advocated for meeting between militant groups and Kukis MLA facilitated by Jew United to chart the course for their political movement. In the 60-member assembly, BJP holds 37 seats, supported by 14 legislators from NPF, NPP and 2 independents. Opposition comprises 9 MLAs, Congress 5, JDU 1, KPA 2 and 1 independent. A Delhi court on Saturday took cognizance for the first charge sheet filed by ED in a money laundering case linked to the alleged Land for Jobs scam. Former Bihar Chief Minister Rabdi Devi and her 2 daughters, Rajya Sabha member Misa Bharti and Hema Yadav, has also been named in the charge sheet. The case is related to Group D appointments made in the West Central Railway Zone in Jabalpur, where Lalu Prasad Yadav was Railway Minister from 2004 to 9. Allegedly in return for land for his family and associates, the Court of Special Judge Vishal Gogne has directed the accused to appear before it on February 9. The complaint prima facie disclosed obtaining of multiple properties both at undervalued rates in lieu of government employment. The court finds sufficient material to take cognizance of the complaint and find cogent grounds to issue summons, the court said. At a time when the opposition India alliance is desperately trying to hold its flock together, BJP is focusing to stay ahead in the run-up to Lok Sabha elections, with party on Saturday appointing in-charges and co-in-charges for 23 states and union territories for polls in which PM Modi will be seeking a third term. Notably, the appointments also indicate that prominent faces for the party, including Dharmendra Pradhan, Bhupendra Yadav and Piyush Goyal, are being considered as candidates, despite them being ministers, as they have not been assigned any state, a practice BJP brass had been following. This is also seen as an indication that those who have been assigned responsibilities may be sparred from being fielded as candidates. BJP National Secretary Vinod Tawde has been made election in charge for Bihar, while BJP Rajya Sabha member and former Jharkhand unit Chief Deepak Prakash will be co-in charge according to a party statement. Tawde presently is BJP's in charge for political affairs in Bihar. BJP Vice President Baijayant J. Panda has been appointed election in charge for UP and National General Secretary Dushyant Kumar Gautam for Uttarakhand. Rajya Sabha member and former Tripura Chief Minister Bipal Kumar Dev has been made election in charge for Haryana. Surendra Nagar will be co-in charge. Former Bihar Minister and BJP's in charge for West Bengal, Mangal Pandey, has been appointed election in charge for the state. Amit Malviya and Asha Lakhara will be the co-in charges. The appointment of the new ministers would cap the fast-paced developments which started unspooling with the dramatic ouster of Rajiv Ranjan Singh Lallan as JDU chief in forging the coalition with RJD last month, and have since appeared to have gained inexorable momentum. JDU sources said the dramatic turn was promoted by Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's condescending language at the last India bloc meeting, where he purportedly contradicted Sonia Gandhi to say that an announcement regarding Nitish appointment as convener of the top opposition bloc would have to wait until it was okayed by TMC chief Mamata Banerjee. The Bihar CM, who took the initiative to forge the opposition alliance only to find himself being sidelined, had already turned down of the offer because of Congress chief Mallikarjun Kharge's appointment as president of the India Combine. He felt Rahul's remarks were insulting efforts by Congress functionaries, Kharge including, and CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri failed to mollify him. A tip-off about an alleged effort by RJD to cause JDU MLAs to defeat turned out to be proverbial straw on camel's back. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav announced on Saturday that 11 seats have been set aside for Congress, describing it as a promising start to seat-sharing negotiations with the India bloc partner. Congress, however, was yet to officially put its stamp of approval on the SP chief's announcement and maintained that talks were still underway. Akhilesh's announcement comes at a time when the India bloc is grappling with uncertainty in Bihar. Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress and Aam Aadmi Party two are taking about going solo in West Bengal and Punjab respectively in the 24 Lok Sabha polls. As per reports, Congress has initially demanded 23 seats in UP. In the 19 Lok Sabha elections, the Grand Old Party secured more than 8% of the votes in 19 seats. Though SP so far has been non-committal on the number of seats it was willing to set aside of Congress. Akhilesh had maintained the number of seats should not be problem, as his party had always adopted a large-hearted approach while forging alliances. In the 2015 movie Manjhi the Mountain Man, protagonist Dashrath Manjhi cuts a hill alone to build a road to his village. In Bihar's latest numbers game, key players see Jitaram Manjhi as the road to success. BJP is scrambling to keep its NDA flock together amid reports for the former CM Manjhi's Hindustani Awam Morcha has been offered the post of Deputy CM by RJD. This comes amid the uncertainty with CM Nitish Kumar looking set to ditch RJD and other allies to be part of NDA again. With 4 MLAs in his kitty, both NDA and Grand Alliance want to have Manjhi on board. Now for RJD chief, Lalu Prasad seems not desperate, with sources saying he had sent Manjhi's fillers offering him the Deputy CM post if he crosses over. We got to know about his Deputy CM offer from the news channels, but we are not a bit interested. We are with NDA. There are no ifs and buts. HEM President Santosh Kumar Suman told on Saturday. Rohan Bopanna may be the owner of a series of the oldest records in tennis, but the 43-year-old has not let age define him. It's not just a number, it's a milestone he has taken along with him. The 6 feet 4 inches Indian had just become the oldest man to win a Grand Slam after clinching the Australian Open men's double trophy. The world doubles number one and newly awarded Padma Shri talks about how he overcome the challenges. Does that Tuesday evening in Istanbul 3 years ago when you almost quit tennis feel distant now? That evening was difficult. It was emotional. I walked all over the town and down that beautiful Riviera. I was at a place in my head where I was very close to stopping that passion. I had pursued all my life because I had not won any match in 4 months. I was alone. No coach, no physio, no anyone. I started talking to myself. I was saying maybe this is the end of my tennis career. Slowly I started saying it all out loud. The truth was coming out. The disappointment, the difficulty. I had kept it all inside for me. Never spoken to anyone about it. Speaking about it even to myself made a difference. Later that week I went to Madrid for the next tournament and ended up winning my first match of the year after 7 straight losses. After that, I told myself I may be at the end of the road, but as long as the season lasts, I have to enjoy myself and not really worry about results. I was playing with this in Madrid. He is a dear friend of mine. I told myself, let's just go out there and have fun. Just two friends who hit the ball real big. By the end of 21, I was still ranked in the 40s, and that gave me hope for 22. Then I made the semis at Roland Garros with this and different style of playing, and just like that the doubts faded away.